Welcome everybody, Red Arrow 23 here, time for another edition to the Boom Beach Playbook. Today we're going to be doing the Titan 6 o'clock defense wrap core rush. Let's boom this beach! So Kron's going to show us it first. Here he goes in on Titan. Let's watch it all the way through. Clearing out some mines there, and then he's just going to get started on the beach. Bit of a longer walk, so we'll speed it up to 2 times. Then flares up. Nice. Biasing that smoke slightly further up, clips one mine, not a big deal, does his shocks, and boom! Look at that damage. There was, just for reference, there was 2.5, so it was about 2.7 mil on this core, and he managed to do probably 2 mil, just under 2 mil I reckon. Right, so let's break it down a little bit. So let's have another look at Kron's hit. So as you can see, first things first, look at the setup. So if we do a 3 o'clock core wrap, it would be 1 shock, 2 shocks, and that would have to be a perfect shock, 3, 4, 5. But from down low, if we wrap this flamethrower, we can shock these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 versus 5 shocks. And that's going to work out really nicely. So that's the reason why we're going left. You don't often get a 6 o'clock core wrap, but let's check it out. So first thing he's doing is clearing the mines, the boom mines, so that we keep the hero alive, and then he's clearing these mines around the core. So he's left this level 20 mine up there and level 20 mine here. He did end up popping this one, but it's not a big deal as long as you get rid of any level 22s that you could hit, or 20s that are right next to each other that you could hit both of them simultaneously, or like very close together. So he's on for a flare landing. Because there's mortars here, he's going to have to come in from a bit of an angle, and he does peek out of the smoke there, but the mortar fires over the top, so that works out well. We'll look at this flare point. It's right on the gap between the mortar and the sniper tower. So if you follow that line through, some of the Zookas are going to go left of this mortar. So just keep an eye on them, because the shock launchers could fire. And you'll see that he adjusts his smoke over to the left. And he's got a nice handle on where those Zookas are going. Doesn't want to lose delay now that we're into things that are going to be in range of the core rush spot. And he gets that next smoke, so you can see that he hit that next flare just before the Zookas settled. So you want to get it even a little bit earlier would be good. So you see they spread a little bit. If you can get it a little bit earlier, I think they'll stay a little bit tighter together, but it's all good because he's heading on up there. He's got it right on the wall, just to the right of this defense by the building health statue, which is perfect. You can obviously count all the smokes in the previous showing without me pausing it all the time. And then from this position, once all the Zookas are here, you want to do it before all of the Zookas stop, because they're going to spread like crazy trying to target things. You're going to flare onto the rearmost defense. So boom, flare goes down, and you'll see that the Zookas don't spread too much. They sort of just come around this building health statue and then come in nice and tight. The placement of this smoke is actually critical, because you don't want to just smoke the flamethrower. They do spread a little bit further up, and you'll see how they spread right now, because they're all trying to target that boom cannon in the top left, and they're all basically squeezing right between the flamethrower and the boom cannon. You'll see that they start to spread a little bit up to the top, and that's why they pop that mine. And now what we need to look at are our shocks. So the machine guns opposite may get a couple. I wouldn't worry about it too much, to be honest. But you do need to get the flame. Obviously, the flamethrower you're standing right next to. You need to get that. You need to get that, or you're gonna die. This is a very risky tactic because if you do miss one of these shocks, most of all your Zukas are so close together that one rocket fire or one burst out of a machine gun or a flamethrower is just gonna ruin your day. So let's have a look at his shocks. Hits that perfect 2x4 shock. So he hasn't shocked any of his Zukas, but he has got this flamethrower. You can see the shock just going through the base of the flamethrower, and it's also getting the 3 machine guns closest to the core on this side, and 3 flamethrowers as well. So that's the most important and I guess crucial shock. And then we obviously need to shock the shock launchers, because one Zuka being in range of here is just going to create this massive splash of shock, which is going to kill a bunch of our Zukas. These mortars are in range, so I think we're going to have to shock that with the mortar, with the shock launcher and the flamethrower, and also this rocket launcher down here. You may have more rocket launchers down here. You're just going to have to work out whether or not you're going to be able to afford to be able to do this hit with this amount of shocks, or whether you're going to have to go like Gren and Bart, which is going to be a little bit tough because there's these prototypes here. But anyway, so we've lined up our shocks, our other ones. We got the easy ones, this one and this one. This one's a little bit harder. He's gone for these extra mortars, which he probably didn't need. He could just get these 2 mortars, flamethrower and shock launcher would have been fine. But Kron is out to impress. And there we go. Look at how tightly packed they are in there, and they're just dealing damage. Don't have to worry about the boom cannons. If these were machine guns, then you could shock them, and then that would be fine. Especially if this wasn't a rocket launcher, or like that just didn't exist, then you would have had another shock to do something else. But that's just an idea of where they're going to be positioning and where you can put your flare points. Let's have a look at the next hit, because obviously it is a very high risk. If you don't, if you miss like one shock, you're not going to get any damage on the core, and the next person's not going to be any closer to being able to do it. But let's have a look at Titan. That obviously went really well. He did a ton of damage. Let's have a look at Mac. Mac's a beast hitter. He doesn't have to clear those mines, so he's going to have a little bit more GBE. He's making sure he's out of range of anything on the left, getting a nice flare landing with the flare short. But like, you could put it right in the beach corner, but where he puts it is all good, because you see the first parts of a Zuka, first like section of Zukas reach the flare instead of moving up towards the power cell. And that actually just grouped them a little bit closer together. He waited to flare over to the mortar a little bit longer than Kron. So all of his Zukas are going to be under that smoke, and the mortar's not even going to look, which is awesome. Then he flares up, again trying to do that before the Zukas settle, and then he's dropping bricks straight away. This flare is in more or less the same spot, I believe. But he did flare it a little bit earlier, and he knows that they're going to go left and right of that line of mortars, so he's smoking appropriately for that. It's a nice work, Mac. He always studies the replays and looks at all the avenues, smokes them all, and look at the smoke, getting a little bit gangster, but he knows how they're going to walk, so it's all good. It's a really good thing when you're watching these playbook videos, is that you can see the exact path they're going to take when you do these flare points. Unfortunately, it did peak a little bit out of the left hand side, and that's losing the delay on this shock launcher. And then once we get to this spot, flare up before they spread, gets the smoke biased slightly towards the core from that flamethrower. After flaring that boom cannon, flares onto the core, gets that perfect shock. I suggest practicing that one in a friendly challenge. It'd be really good. And yes, just owns it. So there it goes. Down goes the core. Remember, if you do lose delay, like he had to shock the shock launcher a little bit earlier than usual. And he's putting a little bit of show on with his medkits. I like it. But yeah, so there's quite a few things to think about in this hit. It is very risky because you either do a lot of damage or you won't do any damage. I mean, that's pretty much how we roll with the Zukas, but yeah, there you go. So that's going to do it for this video. It's a great hit. It's a great one to master. Hopefully you can help out your team a lot. Hopefully someone can follow you. If you, obviously with the big cores, you're probably going to need 2 people to rush it. But yeah, so give us a comment down below if you take out Titan any differently and why we have done the 3 o'clock core defense wrap core rush, and we've done the Grand Bart options. So yeah, give us a comment down below if you got any different tactics, some new ideas for the playbook, and give us a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and subscribe for more Boom Beach.